Okay, as you can tell, this is filmed a lot later, because look at this, I got fucking blackout curtains, so like, daytime is no longer a concept to me. I have no concept of time. Any resemblance of what day it is has completely gone out the window. But that means I can film any time of any day, and this light will not ruin it. So I can finally talk about the rest of my New York trip. Okay, on the second day, we started like bright and early, going to an acting workshop, and then like an up close with a Broadway actor, which is just like another acting workshop. We didn't really get time to like take any photos or do anything because it was very much like a go 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 situation, and everyone was sort of like dead tired, because even though we had like a full night's sleep after like the first day, we were still sort of like dead from the first day. So we were, the deadness from the first day has leaked over into the second day. Paying attention this day was doable, but still not easy. We got to talk to a person. I think his name is Jesse Swim. If that's true, there will be no correction on the screen. But he was really cool. He's a swing in Rock of Ages on Broadway, and he got to talk about how like he got to this point in his life, and then he sang Sunday Morning by Maroon 5, and it was very nice. And then we got to work with another Broadway professional. Her name, I believe, is Amanda. She was very nice. It wasn't one of those things where they were like, this is the goal of the lesson. It was like, we're going to do things and you take from it what you want to take from it. And that was fun. I really enjoyed that because she really, like, whenever there was side talking, she would not have that. And I wish my teacher would do that, because my goodness, side talking is like my biggest pet peeve. Between these two workshops, we had like a 2-hour lunch break, and I, being the silly idiot that I am, decided to go to Ellen's Stardust Diner this day. In retrospect, this would have been a wonderful thing to do the day before. We had a 4-hour lunch, not a 2-hour lunch, because the day before when we walked past it, the line was so much shorter than it was the second day, and we had less time to do it. But we decided to go anyways, and it was not the smartest idea because we had like no time to sit there, because to get in and then to order and then to get your food like takes a lot of time, because they're a very busy restaurant, and I was just filled with anxiety the whole time because I was like, we're gonna be late, we're gonna be late, we're gonna be late. Granted, we were only like 2 minutes late, and like our tour guide already hated us, so like it was fine, because getting on the bus that day, like every single time that like the 4 of us schools had to go somewhere as like a collective, it was always someone from our school that made us late. So, like, I get why they didn't like us, but they already didn't like us at this point, because to leave to go to the workshop this morning, someone from our school took forever to get ready, so we couldn't leave on time. That was fun. But we went to Ellen's Stardust Diner, and for the time that we were there, it was very pretty. I'm happy to have been there, because it's just so, like, such an amazing place. I'm definitely going to go back there when I go back to New York. Don't know when that will be, but I'm going back. So, whenever I do that, I'm gonna go back there and actually have like a proper, like, not anxiety-filled meal. Right after the workshop, after lunch, we went to Radio City Music Hall. And like, this is one of the qualms that I had about this trip, is that nothing that you paid for was like set in stone, which kind of seems like a scam, don't you think? Like, when you pay for something, you expect to get the product that you're paying for, but you're basically just paying to go to New York, and any of the things that they like said was on the agenda could always be changed, like due to like outstanding circumstances. And like, I get that, but also if I'm paying for something, I want to get what I paid for. So when we went to Radio City, it's not like we weren't able to go in, but they were doing a like some sort of screening for like the show. I think it was on Stars, and I think it was called Power, and it was like the 5th season. It was the first episode of the 5th season of that show, and they were like showing it like as this premiere at Radio City Music Hall. So we couldn't take any photos that day because we couldn't like spoil what was going on there, and that made me very upset, because I was like, this is Radio City Music Hall. Radio City Music Hall, like Kid Gorgeous John Mulaney, Radio City Music Hall, and I couldn't take any photos? Like, that was upsetting. But the place was like beautiful. There was like wonderfully tall ceilings. Our tour guide, Charlie, he was great. There were a bunch of us talking about memes. when we were walking through like the tour, and he would like talk to us about memes because he was a cool dude. This is where the chaperone gets on my nerves once again, because we are like standing in the lobby and they have all like these like screens that show Power, like the name of the show, Stars, like season 5 episode 1, and we're all standing in the lobby. I'm looking at them and I'm like, what is that show about? What's this about? Because I've never heard of the show before. It's on 5 seasons, so it has to be at least somewhat popular. I was very confused. I was like asking that aloud, wondering if anyone else knew what that show was about. But the chaperone hears it, and her being the condescending bitch that she is, she's like, they're showing a premiere right now for the first episode of season 5 of Power. It's on a channel called Stars. That's what they're doing here today. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. I'm asking what the show is about. Because, like, it was the most condescending thing to have to explain, like, step by step. Like, I know what a premiere is. I could read the screen. I was wondering what the show was about. Like, and it wasn't even directed at you. Like, stop talking. She's so condescending, like, throughout the whole trip. And I don't know if she means to be condescending or if she just really thinks we're all that stupid. But, like, it's so annoying. But we move on from that. We meet a Rockette. She lovely. She's obviously very talented. The Rockettes are amazing. We take a photo with her. We get offered to buy it for $25 in the lobby, and we're like, no thank you. We already have a photo. The ticket that you get when you walk in there gives you like a discount at the gift shop. And they were like, oh, we get to go to the gift shop afterwards. And then we didn't because they are all liars. And that made me so angry because I really wanted to buy something from the gift shop. I end up going later, but I don't get to take my ticket to get that discount. So I just paid full price for everything. And everything in New York is so expensive. So, that's fine. But click the card for my haul if you want to see what I bought at Radio City Music Hall. They were nice things. And then from there, we go to have dinner. And you would think because we are on a vacation, they would try to get us like some nice local places, you know, to get that nice New York culture. But no, where do they fucking take us? To Buffalo Wild Wings. First of all, I don't like to eat chicken. Chicken is not something that I enjoy putting into my body. First of all. Second of all, I've only gone to Buffalo Wild Wings once, and it was an awful experience, and I never wanted to go back. 3, this is the day of our first Broadway show, and because of that, right after dinner, we're gonna go to the show. And I know, like, you don't have to dress up, because Broadway's nice and casual now, or whatever, and, like, I get that, but I don't fuck that way. Like, I'm very much a person who's like, any chance to dress up, like, let's go. So, because we would not be getting back on the bus between the dinner and the show, we had to walk all the way from Buffalo Wild Wings to the Schubert Theater. It wasn't the most pleasant experience because, as you can see from my outfit, I'm wearing like 3 to 4 inch heels, which was kind of, you know, hell, because we had like a group of 50, and most Buffalo Wild Wings cannot fit that many people on like their main floor, but this one happened to have this weird basement area that was very creepy, where you had to walk down like 2 flights of stairs to get to this place where like none of the TVs showed any channels correctly, nor were they color corrected, so everyone looked green, and they all just showed like sports. And I get that, it's Buffalo Wild Wings, but like a bunch of theater kids don't fuck with sports. So it wasn't the most pleasant thing to have to walk down 2 flights of stairs in 4 inch heels, but it's the price you pay for looking amazing. This was also the one day that it rained. It was really weird. It wasn't like raining for a long period of time, but it rained really hard. Like when we were getting off the bus to go into Buffalo Wild Wings, and they couldn't just like seat us immediately for some reason. So we had to like wait in like the doorway for like 20 minutes, and I was just standing there in heels, and heels are not standing footwear. So that wasn't the most pleasant situation, but it wasn't fine. I was gonna say it was fine. It wasn't fine because we had to go and then to eat chicken tenders, which are like, I will eat it because I must eat to survive. But that was the only reason that I ate that. And it really wasn't good food. Like, I don't like Buffalo Wild Wings. And then they like get us this surprise dessert. And guess what the fuck they gave us? Ice cream. And guess who can't eat ice cream because they're lactose intolerant? Me! And no one decided to run this by me, even though they said, before we left for the trip to go into like your tour account and to type in any allergies. I wrote I was lactose intolerant so that someone should have at least told me beforehand so I would know, so I could prepare my body with the correct allergy medicine so that I don't die if I were to eat ice cream. But no one told me, so I couldn't have any dessert, and it was the worst because I was so mad because I was literally like finishing this tiny meal of maybe like 4 chicken tenders, and I was like, they weren't even chicken tenders. They were like boneless wings, and those just are freaks of nature, first of all. But like, I was finishing it, and I was like, I would really love like a cookie or something sweet to finish this meal. And they're like, oh, we're gonna bring dessert. And I'm like, great, what is it? They're like, ice cream. And I'm like, do you have anything that's like not dairy? And they were like, no. And I was like, great. So I took a container of ice cream anyways, because like, I'm not gonna be that bitch that's like, I can't have ice cream. I'd rather just have it sit there and just like be, I don't know if that's worse, but to me that's better. I just sat there, and then this lady came around with like toppings, and she just like spread caramel over it, and I just like picked the caramel off of the ice cream, and it was the worst meal I had in New York. It was awful. It was so, oh my god, like, it just makes no sense that no one would tell us this beforehand, as if there are not people that specifically specified that they were lactose intolerant. It's just, I know it's like the most first world problem ever. And it really doesn't matter that much, but I was very annoyed. As a person who enjoys eating ice cream and can on occasion, like with the correct preparation, I like to eat ice cream. But no one told me, so I couldn't have any ice cream, and I just had to suffer, and it was awful. And there was no Wi-Fi or any service because we were like way below ground level. So that was kind of awful. I really wasn't enjoying it. And plus, the table that me and like 3 of my friends chose to sit at, because we got down there like last, and everyone decided to split off into these weird groups so that there were only like a few seats at every few tables. So like our group had to basically like scatter. So me and 3 of my friends had to sit at this table by ourselves, and it was awful because we don't really talk like at all. It's not that we don't talk, it's just that we're not people who just have conversations over meals, you know? We're not really that big on conversations. We just sort of sat there in silence, and it was really awkward because everyone else around us knew each other and they were having a conversation. That was kind of awful. And also, as a person who only drinks water, I do not drink soda. That has been becoming less common lately. I've been getting back into soda, and I don't want that. I need to stop. But I like, for the most part, like a good 98% only drink water. Like, if there's like an array of drinks and like they are all soda except for like water, like every soda imaginable, I will always pick water because my body cannot handle soda. And like they give us these nice like party pictures of drinks, and every table gets a pitcher of water except for our table. And I'm like, I can bet you I'm probably the only person in this room who is choosing to drink water. Give it to me! And I had to keep going to other tables to get water, and it was the most annoying thing because I'm already 6 feet tall. I'm now like 6'4" in these heels, and I'm like walking, like stomping around this creepy basement trying to get water from these other tables from people I don't know, and it was awful. But then the meal finally over. I have to drag my body up 2 flights of stairs and out into the street. We have to walk all the way to the Sherbert Theater, which is so much farther than anyone made it seem like. And then we stand outside the theater for like 20 minutes while a tour guide gets us tickets, and I'm again standing in my heels. My feet are already sort of dying because 12 hours of walking the previous day and now like about an hour of standing in heels this day, not the best for my body. But then like right next to the theater, there's this wonderful theater shop where they sell like theater posters of like musicals and like songbooks and all these types of things. And I was like, are we able to go to see this after the show? Like, could we go in and buy things? And my teacher, because she doesn't know anything and is kind of an idiot and just sort of assumes everything that she tells us, is like, what time does it close? And I'm like, 11, and the show will end no later than 10 because I looked up the run time and added that to the time that we started because I'm not an idiot. So she was like, yeah, sure, I don't see why not. Spoiler alert, we didn't end up going because everyone's a fucking liar. I really hate that. I hate that so much. Just because, like, I know that if I were to plan this trip everyone would be able to do everything that they wanted, because there was so much like wrongly allotted time, and it made me so angry, because I was like, I 100% know that we could have spent time to go into this theater, because after the show, we just sort of stood outside for like 30 more minutes to watch people come out of the stage door for no reason. Because like nobody was like signing autographs or taking pictures or anything. They just walked out and then they went home. Like, I don't get why people were waiting to see them when like no one really did anything. I would get it if like the main cast like came out and took photos and like did autographs, but like it was only the ensemble that went out this door, and like they didn't even like stop for anyone. I'm not blaming this on them, because I get it, they just performed a fantastic show. I'm going to talk about the show in a second, but like, why did we wait for that? And I was, again, just sort of standing there, and like the place that we were standing was on an incline, so I had to stand in like 4-inch stiletto heels on an incline for like 40 minutes. I know I keep amping up the time, it was more like 20 minutes, but like it was so painful. It was the worst experience. And like the time that we allotted, in that time I very much could have gone into the shop, but no one was letting me for some reason. I was like, can I go into the shop now? And they were like, no, we have to go. And I'm like, but we're not going. Like, we're just standing here. What are we doing? It was stupid. It was so stupid. It was so annoying. But you know what wasn't annoying? The Broadway show that we saw, Hello Dolly, with Bernadette Peters. It was so fucking good. Out of the 2 shows that we saw on this trip, and if you want to know what the other show is, you have to watch day 4. No spoilers. But out of the 2 shows that we had seen, this show was like miles ahead of the other show. This show was so good. And I was really not expecting that, because before we went on the trip, we got to like tell the tour guide which shows out of like these pool of shows that they gave us we wanted to see, and like they were all Broadway shows, so they were all like high end, they were all like high class shows. Sadly, none of them were like the big shows that everyone wanted to see, like Hamilton or Mean Girls or Dear Evan Hansen, but it's fine. And the show that we saw on the 4th day, I was very much looking forward to, and I was sadly very much let down on, but watch day 4 to find out why. But this day, I was very much not looking forward to Hello Dolly, because I was like, it's gonna be boring. It's one of those like classic shows that has been on Broadway forever, so it's gonna be outdated, and it's gonna be like, it's just not gonna be interesting. But boy was I wrong. It was so good. It was such a good show. And like, I have no idea who Bernadette Peters is. Like, when they mentioned that at like the meeting for this trip that we had, when they were like telling us what shows we were gonna go see, all the parents were like, oh my god, Bernadette Peters. And like, people tried to explain who she was. I still don't really get who she is, but she was very, very good at the show. It was so good. Like, the comedy was perfect. Like, they did a lot of like physical comedy that had to do with like perfectly timed movement of certain people at certain times, and it was like flawless. Like, the blocking was flawless. It was amazing, and all the songs were so fucking good. We had seats way up in like the back of the mezzanine balcony, like the up part in the very back. That's where we were. We were very far away from the stage, but it was still just so amazing to watch. Like, I enjoyed it so much. And like, by the way, our tickets said that our seats were only $35. In what world? Why was our trip so expensive? They literally made such a big deal out of us going to see Broadway shows. And like, I get it, it's the idea of the Broadway show that's amazing, but like, these tickets were not expensive. Like, the tickets for the other show were more expensive, but if anything, I would much rather see this show twice than that show once. Just saying. Hello Dolly was so good. I was so blown away by the first act that during intermission, I got up out of my seat, stomped out to the aisle to go to the person selling like merchandise at the top of the balcony at that moment, because I knew that I wanted it. I knew by the first act that I loved this show and I needed something from it. So I bought some wonderful merchandise after only the first act. And if you want to see what I bought, click the icon. The haul is not out now, but it will be out eventually. But it was amazing. Bernadette Peters, very, very talented. Oh my god. Okay, I cannot find their names, but the people who played Cornelius and Barnaby They were by far my favorite part of the show. They were so talented. They were so good. They were so funny. And they could dance so well. And they could sing so well. They were so talented. Like, oh my god. They were the outstanding part of the performance for me. Like, I loved them so much. They were so good. For Cornelius, the person who played him is traditionally or usually, or like the main person that plays him is a white guy, but the guy who played him when we went to go see him was a black guy, and I fuck with that, because when like a show is set in the old times and it's not like specifically about like race issues are not a part of the show, making like characters people of color is a wonderful thing, because it's just like, racism? What are you talking about? And it's not erasing racism, it's like no longer perpetuating the racism that like it was started with, you know? Just because it started with a bunch of white people doesn't mean now it has to be a bunch of white people, you know? So that was great. I loved that a lot. It was such a good show. It was so funny. I don't know who would be watching this that lives in New York, but if you do and you can go see it, highly recommend. Like, as a young human who was very much not expecting to like this, because it's like a classic musical, it's so good. It's so good. It's not dated at all. They like keep it nice and funny and fresh, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Everyone just like knowing what, I always get so shocked when I see a show and like everybody knows what they're doing, because I've never been in a show like that. So just like seeing everyone like perfectly on time with everything and knowing what they like are going to do was amazing. Like they had like such specific like sharp dancing in this show. It was so good. It was so good. And the guy who plays Barnaby, I don't know if this is a thing specific to his character or to the actor, but he can jump like so high. Like there was just a moment where he just kept jumping like 4 feet off the ground, and like I could never. That was really cool. But then after that amazing show, we had to leave and stand outside on an incline in the middle of the New York heat. Even though it was night, it was still very hot for like 30 minutes. That wasn't fun. And then we went back to the hotel, and that was the end of the day. There's not many photos from this day because we did a lot of things where we could not take photos. Really, the only outstanding thing from that day was Hello Dolly. It really made up for like everything before that didn't really go the best. Like Hello Dolly was that outstanding and that amazing that like even though I had to have an awful meal at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I completely mismanaged my time with Ellen Stardust Steiner, and we couldn't take photos at Radio City Musical, it was fine, because we got to see Hello Dolly, and Hello Dolly was amazing. That is the end of day 2. Click the card at the end if you want to continue this journey to see day 1, the day before, or if you're watching this late in the game, maybe there are other days out. Living in the future must be wild. Thankfully, I'm sitting right in front of my computer, and that's going to fuck off the lighting. Fuck.